Hey, what's up, little skirt?
GM, how are you doing this morning, little panda?
I'm doing great, man. I'm feeling good.
That's good. That's good. Always good to start off the day on the right foot. It is 15 degrees and snowing here in Anchorage. It warmed up a little bit in the past 24 hours, so there's that. But yeah, likewise, I'm looking forward to getting a lot done today.
Awesome. We gotta get your little noun icon up. So right now you're just a black square.
Oh, hold on. Let me see if I have him. Do I have him on my page? Hold on. I got him right here. I'm gonna send him to you on Discord. Do I?
You've got to do it.
Yeah. Copy. I'm gonna send it to you on Discord and then download it from the thing that I send to you because I don't have it on the computer that I need it on.
Oh, let me show you this. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, there's a is it Lil Nouns? I think I have it here. I got it. It's this one right here. Yeah, I got it. And edit audio avatar, upload avatar, download. Can it use SVG? It cannot. All right. Boom.
If you go to that site, you can just change the type.
Yeah, I just got it. It's taking a second to find on my desktop. There we go. Hopefully that did something. I did my audio avatar. Did it not? I'm selecting it. Camera, virtual background. Got it. Let's try it. Let's just add him to the virtual background too.
Ooh, I like that creativity.
I don't even know if it's gonna. There we go. There we go. Oh my goodness. Yeah. GM. I wish I could. Yeah, I tried to put him in the audio avatar and it didn't do anything. I don't know. Oh well. Yeah, GM, we're here. Little skirt in the chat. This is an Alaskan stream. That's how we do things in Alaska, Panda. We just make things work and we show up late. Yeah, my apologies for making you wait too. I just got done walking the dog. I always like watching you do this. Is this in Figma? I think it is. That's so sweet.
Oh yeah, shoot, I was muted the whole time.
It's okay. It's okay, man. I'm a smooth sailor. No worries. Yeah, you were saying. I think you were zooming in and out. This is definitely in Figma, though. Correct?
Yes. Yeah, this is Figma. And this is totally impromptu. You know, we've been talking about this, but I just DM'd you, I don't know, 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
How much time do you have? Just so I know.
I have about 40 minutes right now total.
Okay. Awesome. So let me get right to it then. This is your little noun, right?
Yeah.
What's the number?
6265.
And what character is this little noun?
So that's the touring head. You don't see him very often.
And what is yeah, what's the story of this little noun? How did you come to acquire it?
I clicked on Lil Nouns pic. Sorry, I need to make this a separate window so that I don't leave. My bad. Um, sorry, you were saying 6265 touring head. Um, they don't show up very often on the auction, from what I've seen.
How did you come to get this one?
So in late September, a friend of mine, who works in Web3, he he works for a distributed service provider, and he had been doing the NFT thing for a little while. And a year before that this past September, I had seen the rise of like the NFTs and just saw what speculation was doing. Just kind of wondered what the utility of the tokens was, if there was any at all, and just kind of I was very hesitant to want to even spend any time learning about NFTs because it just felt like a very easily scammable environment. And so I was turned off, and I told him, come back to me when you have a project or an NFT that does something. And so this past September, he just sent me this to my MetaMask wallet. And I think he had sent me the Nouns website like 2 months after I told him that a year ago. And I just never spent any time on it. I was deep in the thick of my own business and things like that. But so he sent me this little noun, and I instantly went to the little nouns page, and started learning and just diving into how everything works in the little nouns community, like where to be, who to get in contact with. So yeah, that's the gist of the short story there. I mean, I didn't even ask for it; he just gave it to me. And you're muted, FYI.
Yeah. Um, so okay, so you got this around September, and we're recording this in March, so about 6 months ago. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So what I'm super interested in talking to you about is your prop and really kind of the process of how that came to be, because this is your prop, right? Prop 85.
Yes, sir.
You passed this prop. This was on chain in December before Christmas, and you got this thing passed on chain. It's really just an amazing feat. 13.9 ETH. So how'd you do it?
Well, to begin with, I as I said, I got into the community, and I started trying to figure out who I needed to ask questions to. I met Lil Al early on. I think that was a huge benefit to my cause, without a doubt. I think without knowing Al, as you can see there, he listed the prop for me. I didn't even know at the time, when I was finally ready to submit the prop on chain. I didn't know that you had to have, I think, whatever, 6 lil nouns to submit it on chain. I didn't even know that. I went through the entire drafting process not knowing that. So that just kind of shows you how naive I was about how governance and all of these like more intricate details work. So yeah, how did I start? I started with discourse. I started with discourse and the proposal ideas. Um, first obviously is the proposal ideas thread on Discord. And I just kind of started planting seeds, and trying to carry the conversation on that prop idea thread. And then people asked, hey, why don't you start throwing a prop together and put it on Discord, so we can interact with it. And okay, great. So then I did that. And then it kind of got to this place where a lot of people were interacting with it and saying that it looked great. They didn't know if nouns or little nouns wanted to fund businesses, which was very interesting at the time, because Zora was, on the run up to launching Nouns Builder and passing that 1,000 ETH prop. So it was obviously sort of a ironic situation to be in. But while all this is going on, I'm kind of being told, why don't you go to NSFW? Why don't you go to DCS? Why don't you ask a little funding? Why don't you? And so, I explored pretty much every route that people told me existed to try to access funding. Before, Al just said, hey, we should just put this on chain. Like, what better way to get a temperature check of the community than to put it on chain, and that's where I was with it. I've been working on launching my business for at the time a year and a half, and now it's 2 years. And I just had felt like I didn't know if I had the support from the local small business community here and from my local community to really move forward. And I think receiving this little noun and finding this community and figuring out this process obviously is what is allowing me to move forward with this business. If I hadn't done this, if this community hadn't rallied around this cause, and at the time, the number of wallets that voted for this proposal at the time was sort of a historic high, not historic, but around that specific time period in the recent months, it had garnered more wallets, individual wallet voters, than other props that had gone on chain. So I felt really good knowing that this was at least getting people to come and vote, because I think it's important that, for these communities, that there are causes that come before the community every so often, so that people who might be interested in sort of diving in deeper know what the voters believe in, right? Like, and the best way to figure that out is to see what props they pass. And so that's, hopefully I encapsulated most of the journey there. A lot of the iterations occurred in Google Documents. The Google Documents were shared in the proposal ideas thread on Discord. I would say I used the proposal ideas thread on Discord more than I use Discourse or anything else. I put it on PropLot as well. I don't think it got as much support as maybe I would have wanted from PropLot. Just sort of knowing now what PropLot means, and now that I've been in the community for more months now, I don't think that it did as well on PropLot as maybe would warrant taking the proposal on chain. But just given my circumstances, and given just the like, hey, I have to go all in on this, I don't really have a choice, situation, I was really, honestly, very, very pleased and very grateful to the community, and to Al and to Dot, for letting me get to this point.
Where can I find this prop lot? Do you remember
It's
what
99.
under?
It's 99. So it only got 241 votes on PropLot. But again, didn't get a bunch of comments either. But
look at this microwave.
yeah, I know. He was a huge support in this process, because I will say that Al, he was like my sounding board. I could ask Al about, like, hey, do you think I should ask these people this? Do you think I need to add more? Do you think I need to add more media? Do you think I need, these links? What do you think is going to make it more compelling? Like, do you think I've gotten enough feedback? Do you think I've iterated on the feedback enough? Like, all of that conversation was happening between Al and I during this process. And so I will say that, like, at the same time that I was working on compiling this prop and iterating and going through this process, it seemed as though there were sort of other props that were proposing creating sort of an incubator type environment, right? And it was just kind of, it was discouraging that there weren't more people who, like, obviously Al is getting paid to do that work, but it was kind of discouraging that there weren't more people who were down to sort of riff in that way. I was very grateful to see, SQ and Mike and all those people who are consistently showing up, and they consistently showed up in discourse and in the Discord proposal ideas thread. So I mean, across the board, I can't I don't know. I to me this is a model of like, hey, someone took an idea and then iterated on it until he thought that he had taken enough feedback in and shown that he had used that feedback in the proposal before like actually moving forward. I felt like I did a good job on it at the time. Yeah.
Yeah, Al is a huge friend of the show, friend of the stream, friend of the pod, friend of the panda. I've had Al on a bunch. I've talked to him a lot. I've very much. I'm a better gamer because of Al and the time that he put into relating to me and to my props. That's a consistent thing you'll know about Al. Well, you already know. Yeah.
Well, and now it's, sometimes I think that my approach and my willingness to be open about, where we're moving as a DAO might not jive as well as, Al's approach, or might not jive with Al's approach, and that's fine. I don't think I'm right all the time, and I definitely don't think I know everything. But I will say that, regardless of that, and regardless of disagreements that might happen, I can't thank Al enough for the support that he gave me in helping me pass my prop. Again, if that hadn't happened, I wouldn't really. First off, I probably wouldn't be as active in this community as I am. And I also would just not know what was going to happen. I'd probably be finding a full-time job somewhere and getting by, literally.
Yeah. Yeah. Can we talk a bit about the actual prop? I want to find it and look at the tally, and
For sure.
and I really kind of want to get into what was it like for you in December when this went on chain? How'd that feel?
So I was really excited when it went on chain, and then a specific voter, one very large voter, voted against it basically instantly, and that was pretty discouraging. Basically after he voted against it, I should say after they voted against the prop, I had basically the rest of the time that it was up for voting, I was trying to make those votes back. And even then, even after making all of the votes back and still having more for votes than against votes, I was at like 475 votes. So it was 480 to like 475 or something. Let me look down here. I wish I could like actually see the numbers on the tally on the journey of the votes, because it up until the very last, you can see right when Dot voted, it took it up into from that was the exponential gain. And then I think one more person voted at the very end. But if Dot hadn't voted there, I don't think there was another whale other than, and I think Dot voted with, I think it was the Lil Nounders wallet. And so this was coming down to the wire, Panda, right? I had like less than 6 hours left in voting, and I knew that unless I had a bunch of individual voters who showed up, I wasn't going to get to that 655 quorum number. And so I was honestly kind of like beside myself. It was a really weird emotional time. I was very excited, but also like not wanting to think that things were going to work out. And then when I saw the dot vote come in, I was like ecstatic. It was like, I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. I was like about to start watching someone, a friend's house and their dog, and like they had no idea what was going on. And I'm just like, yeah, like I did this proposal thing, NFTs, like my business, $17,000. And like when it clicked, they're like, what? And I was like, yeah, one of the founders of the project just voted for the proposal. I was like, I couldn't quite grasp um what had happened and like the magnitude of it for me personally in that moment. And it's so interesting because I feel like the voting process and like all of this, like I know that you think of it as a game, right? And it's a fascinating game because it's a game that like can have uh lasting real world implications that can like change people's lives. And like though it is a game, I just like I want to caution everyone who's playing the game to realize that this is an opportunity. Surely there aren't as many people writing props like this, and there aren't as many hell yes props like this. um but I think that I think as a community we can do better to um make this process that occurred for me more ubiquitous for other builders when they show up and they have something that they're very passionate about. And I think we have different funding routes that we can point people to. And now that I know more about them, I can, be a better steward for them and for the DAO. But no, it was a lot of emotion for sure. I didn't really even know how long the voting period was going to last, Panda. Like, I hadn't been following props like during the voting period because I was just tunnel vision in my prop, not doing anything else. And so again, I just have to keep saying this, super grateful for the support from Al, from Dot, from all of the little nouners that voted. But yeah, like I feel like if there's one thing to take away for new builders who are new to Web3, new to nouns, when you're going on chain, this process is not like robotic. You are going to be emotional. It's an emotional game that we're playing here.
Yeah. Yeah, and man, I really want to keep jamming with you on this. Because when I talk about it as a game, I mean, I don't mean to trivialize it at all. Just saying that the way it's played, if you think of it like a game, then you'll see how it plays and you can become a better player. And I think there's something about someone who's able to pass a prop. It requires just a unique set of skills and temperament. And to be able to pass a prop on low nouns, I mean, nouns is a whole other story, but it just takes a certain amount, a certain kind of person. And I love exploring kind of that side and what makes people successful. Because yeah, your prop here came totally down to the wire. So this entire time, basically ever since this first vote, you probably thought you were going to lose, right?
The whole time. Well, and it was so while this was happening, I was having these conversations with other builders, and one builder in particular had a lot of great conversations with Jesse Morningstar while the voting was happening. And the conversations were around social capital. And I was new. I felt like I was fundamentally a new community member and still feeling out how all of these things worked. And what Jesse was telling me was to just be careful about like over marketing my prop and over asking when obviously when I'm a new community member, when people don't know if I'm to be trusted, and all, which are very valid concerns. And so it was interesting because as the voting was going on, just like you said, over the course of those 3.5 days where it looked like it wasn't going to pass, I was grappling with, do I overdo it and like, I mean, not overdo it, but like, do I campaign? Do I really, really campaign this prop right now? Or do I take this feedback and then say, okay, well, obviously it needs to be changed. Maybe I ask for more money. Maybe I ask for less, but clearly the community sees that it needs to change. So then I make those changes and then I come back. But it was this kind of gamble on social capital and on like whether or not, as a new community member, I felt as though it would be wise for me in these 3 days in the interim where it looked like I was going to lose, for me to start shilling this prop every, you know what I mean, every 30 minutes in the discords to try to get as many Lil Nouns votes in as possible. I will also give another shout out. There was a podcast that the prop during the voting period, and it might have even been on December 20th that this podcast came out. I'll have to check. Give me just a second. So the podcast came out, and I think it's the House of Nouns. It's like the Prop Talk podcast with By Hardy, and it came out on the 20th or the 21st, and he talked about Get By, and he talked about the proposal, and he's like, he's not anon. And so when I saw that happening, I was like, oh, this is massive, right? Like, this is huge for me. All right. So then I retweeted, I don't know if it's Prop Talk. It might be, is it House of Nouns Prop Talk? I don't know what the show is called, but I saw that episode and I was like, oh my goodness, dude, thank you for shouting out Get By. And then he went and he voted. Let me see if I can pull up his vote. I think he had like 10 Little Nouns. By Hardy. Oh, he has 2. So he has 2 Little Nouns. And so I think after he had done his podcast, he just went and voted for it. And so then I retweeted the podcast, shared it in the Discord, said thank you for that. And to me, to be honest, Panda, I don't know if it was it might have been the podcast, like either the podcast or just seeing the number of wallets that were already voting for this prop that pushed Dot to vote. Because I've never even spoken to Dot following this proposal passing. Like, I've never spoken to Dot one-on-one and said, first off, thank you for passing, for putting this vote in. But also, like, what did this look like for you and your decision making leading up to this? Because clearly Dot was weighing something, and the calculus, I guess, showed that voting for this prop was a good call for this community. And so, like, it was I feel like there were different variables. And again, what if Dot was watching the podcast and like is that's how Dot gets news on upcoming props and Lil Nouns instead of going through and reading them one by one? Who knows? Just because I haven't spoken with Dot, I don't want to sort of make assumptions. I would obviously assume that Dot is reading props, but there's obviously other ways to be consuming media as well. And I think that podcast probably did a big favor for this prop. I need to find it. I'll find it.
Do you, to what extent do you attribute your success at how hard you hit the pavement? How many votes you recruited? How many DMs you sent? How gritty you were?
Oh, 100%. I mean, at least I have to keep, obviously I have to like say, other than the fact that Dot voted for this prop, I did put in a lot of work campaigning, and even to the point that, revisiting that conversation about social capital, I still put in a decent amount of work campaigning for this prop. And that was because again, like you said, when I got into the community and I started learning how all of this worked, I hit the ground running as fast as I could, because I knew that if I could leverage this community of fundraisers in a way that is mutually beneficial for what I'm working on and for the community, that to me it would be something that I would vote for if I had the money to vote for things. And so knowing that, I was just like, that's my North Star. I'm gonna just keep iterating on this prop, keep doing this thing. Meanwhile, I'm struggling to launch this business because I just don't have the finances to get the workers' comp insurance, right? So it's the funds are being used for real world expenses that are directly related to getting this business off the ground. And if I didn't have that like looming behind me, I don't know if I would have hit the ground running as hard. But also I'm unemployed. So it was, just a combination of all of these factors, and knowing that my goal is in sight with my business. It's just, I need to get over this hurdle. I think all of those things attributed to why I hit the ground running as fast as I did. And I just wanted to like fit in and figure out whether or not this community was a place for me.
Your second voter was, I believe that's Mike Good.
Yeah. And Mike Good has been a good supporter of me, the work that I do, and Get By. And I'm really stoked to be working with both you, Panda, and Mike Good with the Little Reps. I think we're doing a great job, and I've been really stoked to tell other people about the work that we're doing with Little Reps. I'm having a meeting. I think I shared in the chat, and you saw it. Having a meeting with some folks from, or actually one developer from Juicebox DAO later today to talk tokenomics and Get By. But I have, I went to a Juicebox DAO town hall meeting yesterday and introduced myself as a Little Rep and said that we're all about, specifically Lil Nouns holders who have, Lil Nouns who are submitting props to the Nouns prop houses. But that we are very stoked on collaboration as well. And so very stoked to see STVG, the guy who passed the water polo caps, I think last open round. He's submitting, and he's got a prop up to try to get funding from that Nouns prop house round.
Well, hold on.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to stick with your voters.
Sorry, my bad. Yeah.
You got 22 unique wallets.
Yeah.
Who voted for you. Do you have any interesting stories about any of these yes votes? Or anyone who helped you in particular? Or yeah, I mean, how many of these yes voters would you say you talked to personally?
Not that many of them.
Really? Okay.
So I talked to Kelly Werder, the professor at the bottom. I don't know who Sunshine Tech is. At the time, I didn't really, I kind of knew who Zargs was. I didn't know who Cheer Up was. By Hardy, I only knew him because he did the podcast. Zug, I think I saw him in a Discord. I don't think we ever really even chatted. Imposter, don't know who that is. Pixel, I think Pixel I had met at the time, maybe in one Little Sisters space. I had spoken with the professor, Kelly Werder. I'd spoken with her about my business and everything and about my prop to iterate on it, because I was like, oh, you're a professor? Let me tap you for some insight. Harper is actually sort of he's a Lil Nouns holder, but he worked on, I think, he worked for President Obama, and like he follows my girlfriend on Twitter. And so my girlfriend.
Sorry. Let's just remember we're streaming here, so I don't want to accidentally.
Yeah, sorry, I don't want to dox anybody, but Harper, that's obviously, you can come and click on all of this, and that's public information. That'll take you to his Twitter account, and he has it posted on his Twitter as well. So, that's not private. But I think she was like, I think he responded to something that I posted and said, "Hey, this is pretty cool." I sent him a DM on Twitter, so maybe that's one person I reached out to. Pimburu, I have no idea who that is. Wizard 34, I don't think I've talked to. Lil Pizza, I think Lil Pizza was around in the Discord. Obviously, Lil Pizza's a mod, but I don't think I ever spoke directly to Lil Pizza. Cardno, I think I interacted with Cardno on like the Lil Noun show a couple times and like on the Noun Square. SQ, obviously, OG, interact with SQ many times, prop house shows, Lil Noun shows. Blooms, OG, interact with him a lot in like food nouns, but obviously this is before food nouns. I don't even know if I'd gotten into food nouns yet. I don't know how many times we had talked. I think Mike Good was one of the more frequent people that I had been speaking to besides Al. This 08680X8C86 wallet, no idea who that is. Marvel Girl, no idea who that is. Beauty and the Punk, no idea who that is. I know Beauty and the Punk is sort of a big deal over at Nouns. I think whoever that is owns Nouns. Otaku Jake, which was a big no voter. Someone had told me to reach out to Otaku Jake to ask for help. And he said, "Hey, I have feedback for you." And then instead of giving me the feedback, he just decided to vote no on my prop. And so I was like, all right, Motion. I don't think I ever spoke with Motion about my prop. Jihad, likewise. I don't know who 0x31b6 is. Zammies, I think I had spoken with. That's a against vote. Dariush, I had spoken to, but Dariush has his own stuff going, and it's kind of difficult to interact with Dariush in a Discord. Wiz was just, I think, against the work. I don't know why. I haven't ever had a conversation with Wiz about it. I think we've had a couple disagreements in the Discord. NFT Toasty, don't know who that is, and then Megalito, don't know who that is. So I would say almost 80% of the people who voted yes or no, I haven't interacted with at all, which is kind of weird.
Yes. What? I mean, that is kind of weird. We got just a little bit of time left.
Yeah.
So you still to this day you don't know why Dot voted yes,
No.
but he bumped you over this quorum. Take me back to when you found out you were at a friend's house.
Yeah, I was they were about to leave to go to the airport. I was about to watch their house and their dog for them, and I was just like, guys, you're not gonna believe this, right? And like, they're not NFT Web3 people, Panda. So I had to like walk them through Lil Nouns and give them a brief like 101 that was like 3 minutes because they were literally about to leave. They were walking out the door, and I was like, so all this weird tech stuff aside, they just voted and I got $17,000 to launch my business. And they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, like, did it like was kind of, again, I was beside myself, still kind of like, I was calling my girlfriend, calling my friends, getting on the gamer Discord servers that I have with like my best friends from childhood, telling them what was going on. They weren't believing it. It was a lot of energy, a lot of really good vibes in the air, just feeling kind of revisiting how I had felt personally at the time. I had felt kind of like I was not moving forward with the business and feeling kind of stuck. And so this very much felt like, even if it was a bunch of random people who I had never met before who decided that this proposal and this business were going to be doing the right thing and were compelling enough to vote for, that like I am doing the right thing, that people believe in it. And like that, I think that was what I really needed, right? Like the money, great. Seeing that a bunch of random people support this and what I'm trying to do with my life and with this business, I think that was like really what I needed, because I had just like, I've been working the system here in Alaska and trying to do all the, the startup stuff and the accelerator programs and pitching all the time. And it just hadn't really led to being able to launch or having a sturdy footing. And so again, just seeing this random group of people, most of whom I've never spoken to, who voted either yes or no, really, is crazy, right? It just, I still can't really, I can't really like communicate how it feels to be on the receiving end of that. Just knowing that it's been such a struggle going through the traditional, small business route, as a formerly incarcerated founder, right? Like things could be easier if I wasn't formerly incarcerated and if I had a family that had the money to support me. But, again, it came down to Lil Dot voting yes. Yeah. So it felt crazy, Panda.
And do we know if it was Lil Dot specifically, or was it the Lil Nounders? And I think it's a team of them.
I think so. It's the I think it is the Lil Nounders wallet.
And you've never been able to talk to Dot or find out why he voted, or
I sent following the proposal passing. I sent Dot, like I connected with Dot on Discord because like this is really meaningful to me. You know what I mean? Like this is bigger than Lil Nouns. This is like I've been struggling to do this thing for over a year now. And it's like I ran a Reg CF crowdfunding round and I tried to get money from the local small business investment scene and no one wanted to invest. And I did that for 8 months last year. And so like this means the world. And so I connected with Dot on Discord and I said, hello, Dot. I don't think we've ever interfaced or spoken. I wanted to reach out to directly to let you know that your vote on my prop meant the world to me. And I'm doing my best to jumpstart this business and hit the ground running. So I've never the only other time I've like interacted with Dot has been, I think, in like a community call, like the Lil Nouns town hall community call. And I just kind of like sit there and listen.
Amazing. Wow.
Yeah.
What a story. Skirt. It's not the end of your story. You're still active. You're in Lil Reps.
Yep.
Where can people find you if they want to connect with you?
They can find me on Twitter at, I can put it in the chat here. My name is Demetrius. That's my first name. That's my Twitter. It's Demetrius AK. You can find me on Discord at Lil Skirt, number 5446. It's all there. I should have just used that. I should have just, oh my gosh. I should have gone to my Twitter and just dragged that little circle onto my desktop, shouldn't I? Yeah, find me on Twitter, find me on Discord. I'm on social media. Find Get By on all of your local social media pages. What else? I mean, I can give you my email address. I don't really care. Definitely an open book. That's kind of part of my story, is being an open book. So I'm definitely doxed, Panda. There's no harm, no foul in terms of referring to me as Demetrius. Because again, that's part of my story, is owning who I am and the mistakes that I've made. So no, I really appreciate you taking the time to have this discussion though, Panda. I think it was great. I think hopefully more people will hear this because it meant the world to me. And, hopefully we can create more opportunities for more people to create more good here at Lil Nouns.
Loved having you, Skirt. Thank you so much for coming on, and we'll see you around the Nouniverse.
Yes, sir. You have a great rest of your day.
All right, you too.